So you're ready to do part 2 of your personal budget project. I'll show you the parts that you'll need to do. The first thing is the personal budget overview. After that, you're going to want to document expenses related to transportation and home expenses, and you'll be putting those numbers in the overview. So let's start there. Now from the overview, you're going to need to insert some numbers from your tax worksheet, so you're going to want to have that handy as well. So here we are looking at the overview. You're going to want to fill in your period number and your name, right? Replace these question marks with that information. You're also going to want to fill in the amount for wages and tips. This is the amount from your tax worksheet that's located here where it says monthly income. And so in this example, that amount would be $45.83. So we'll put that in. As you can see, it's already there. Then next, the other thing you want to fill in is the federal taxes. It falls later in your budget in section I, but much of section I we're able to do right now by simply looking at this next box below and seeing the total monthly tax amount, which in this example is $851. And so we've inserted that. And so now on this overview, you can see based on our income, we can look at some of our expenses. Now, of course, I want to make adjustments. We always want to make sure that our budget is in the black, that we are not spending more than we take in. If you are over budget, you have to go back and change something. It cannot be over budget. You just can't. Or you can't spend more than you take in. You're not the U.S. government. So in the first section on expenses, right, we're going to go to the directions so that we have very thorough information here. Under mortgage and rent, we're going to go to apartments.com as an example. You can really find your apartment anywhere. I would recommend for many of you that you try renting at least initially, because you may not like the place that you have first taken that first job. You want to make sure that it's a good fit. If you're in a position to purchase, by all means, you can do so. For the purpose of the project, though, we can keep it simple and easy by simply just getting an apartment. So we'll put in a zip code for where we'd like to live, and then we'll find an apartment. So you can choose whatever you like, whatever your preferences are. So let's just say I pick this one. Take a look at it. Yeah, that looks nice. I think I could live with that. Of course, those are just artistic drawings, but you can select a specific type of unit that you like. What I would say is generally whenever you find a range, you can just pick the larger number. You can take these two and divide it by 2 if you'd like. In this instance, I'm going to take this larger number. So 1516 for the 1-bedroom unit. You're going to want to print this page so that you can include it with your documentation. And that amount that I'm going to include in my budget is 1516. So I'm going to go to the mortgage and rent section in the home expenses. Oh, and notice this. I'm not able to type in the document. So I'm going to need to sign in so that I can type into the document. Okay, so now I'm going to be able to type in the document. You'll need to sign into your Gmail account, or any Gmail account will do, in order to be able to edit the document and make it your own. So you'll print that page. So I can close that tab because I've already printed it. Next up, close that too. Next up, we've got the renter's insurance. We're going to go to Geico in order to get a renter's quote. So we'll start that process of getting a quote, and we'll put in our information. I think that apartment was in 33028 zip code. You'll want to follow through here, putting your name, your address, and all that kind of info. There's a separate tutorial that's included in the instructions of what to do. And so you can basically follow it, and it shows you step by step what to do. Put your name, your address, It'll ask you if you are required to have renter's insurance. Some places will require you to have it, others will not. I would recommend that you have it anyway, like in real life, because for what it costs, it does provide you with some assurance. Uh, Dogs tend to raise the cost of that insurance, um, and you can say whether you're going to have dogs or any other exotic or farm animals. Um, You'll want to check off that you've read the policies, of course, only if you've read them, and then you click next. Of course, this is all fake, right? And by the way, let me illustrate that, right? Put in the address in your address. Put in the address of your intended apartment, but by all means, don't put your real information because they will, unless you really want to purchase it, but they will likely contact you via email or by phone to try to get you to sign up. Once you get to the last page, once you get to the page where you get your quote, you'll print that and you'll include that amount into your budget. Next comes the electricity. You'll want to find yourself a copy of your parent or guardian's electric bill. And on that electric bill, I give you the example here about how many rooms your home will have now with their current electric bill. So if we assume your current electric bill is $160, and you currently have 6 rooms with 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, 1 kitchen, 1 dining room, and 1 living room, that would mean that on a per room basis, it costs $26.67 for you to heat and more likely to cool your current dwelling. Now, in your new place, if you're going to have a 1 bedroom with 1 kitchen and 1 living room and 1 bathroom for a total of 4 rooms, we're going to take that $26.67 amount and we'll multiply by 4. And we'll get a new amount. Actually, I see an error here, right? It should be multiplied by 4, and we should end up with 106.68. The next section about gas and oil, we don't really need to worry about unless you're going to live somewhere where it's cold. And in that case, many of those places, you'll want to use oil or gas. Natural gas is often the source in order to heat your home. And we don't really worry about that in South Florida much, but if you're going to live in a pretty cold place, you'll want to be concerned with that. On average, it's about $600 a year, and that cost has actually been going down over the last several years, particularly if you use natural gas. Water, sewer, and trash you're not going to need to worry about. Water, sewer, and trash are typically included with any rental. If you are purchasing, buying a home on your own, those things are costs that you'll have to incur. For telephone, you probably already have a phone. Include the copy of the bill if you already have a cell phone that you're currently paying the bill for. Otherwise, you can go on to any website for T-Mobile, AT&T, Sprint, Metro, whomever, in order to get a quote for how much a monthly service is on their one of their plans. Metro is one of the few companies that does include taxes. So the other ones don't, and you'll want to include a 15% for taxes. So you'll want to add 15% to it. And you can write that right on the quote. So let's say if you were to go to, say Sprint and find yourself a phone plan. Let's see. So let's say we just get one of these simple and easy unlimited plans. So we can see that the cost is $110. It's pretty close, pretty apparent. If we're getting multiple lines, maybe that's another option for us. Whatever your choices are, but you'll want to make sure that you add in 15% for tax. Once you do, we'll include that information in this personal budget overview. Don't forget to include your stuff about your electricity as well. And I think our electricity was 106, and let's see what that was, 106.68, just as an example. And so I know my old cell phone bill was $84.32. Next up, we've got cables or satellite TV or UVerse, whatever your preference. Oftentimes these things come together and are often bundled. If I want to get a plan from, say, AT&T UVerse, I can find out about their bundles that they offer and see what they offer currently. And so keep in mind that with each of these bundles, there's often a contract, and sometimes the rates change, within a certain period of time. So, you want to be sure that you do look at the fine print and, look at all the details about such an offering. Yeah, see, so this one says if you stop the service, you have to pay $180 of an early termination fee. So you kind of want to know what you're getting into. But with the cable TV and internet, whatever floats your boat in terms of preferences, I imagine you'll have one, if not both of those. But just be cautious about any introductory offers. Comcast will often do introductory offers of $19.99 or $29.99, and that's usually for an initial period of like 3 months or 6 months, and then after that the cost climbs. We want to use the full cost, not the introductory cost, because you're not going to pay the introductory cost all the time. You're going to pay the full cost most of the time. Furnishings and appliances. You're likely going to purchase some sort of furniture. You're going to want to have some couch to sit on and a TV stand and what have you. I personally like lots of IKEA furniture. You can buy your furniture anywhere you'd like, and maybe replace it not quite as frequently, depending on how you care for your things, and you know yourself best. Maybe you're going to go out to 60 months or even 72 months in terms of a replacement cycle for your furniture. And oftentimes, if you take care of your stuff, you can go even further than that. Maintenance supplies and improvements, you're not going to really have to worry about that in any rentals. You don't need any of that stuff. You shouldn't be improving the property because you're not going to get any of that back. So you just want to make sure that in any rental property that you maintain it the way that it was when you got it. Otherwise, you don't have to worry about any improvements. Next section is transportation. And here we're going to be purchasing a car. I recommend using cars.com. You can use any website that you prefer. And one of the things is we are going to be getting a new car. And the reason why we're going to get a new car, and from a lot of the stuff we watched from Dave Ramsey, you remember Dave Ramsey was recommending that you get a used car. But you set aside money for a new car. What we're going to do is we're going to set aside money for a new car. We're going to pick a new car, and you can, of course, in real life do whatever you like. We're going to, in our budget, choose to set aside money for a new car. And the reason for that is it just makes it simple in terms of forecasting the expenses for fuel and maintenance and repairs. So you want to find some actual cars. It's easier that way. I really want one of these cars, but the prices are pretty steep. So let's say I find me the car that I want. Beautiful, here it is. We're going to now calculate the payments. Now, we're not going to put any money down. We're not going to have any trade-in. There is 6% sales tax, and the interest rate that you're going to pay is 4%. Now, you notice for this car, which is a moderately priced vehicle, right? The monthly payment's pretty high when we don't put any money down, we don't have any trade, those kinds of things. We can change the terms and adjust the terms up. So if we stretch that out instead of 3 years to put it to 4 years, we can reduce the payment, obviously making many more payments, right? Every year we add an additional 12 payments. We can go out to 60 months, and we've reduced the payment now to $516.26. So you'll print this page. You'll include the number for your car payment in your budget. Next, you're going to want to get auto insurance. So I'm going to go to, we're not going to get auto insurance. the next thing we're going to do, if we follow the directions, is we're going to get the Edmunds true cost of ownership. And we're going to select the make, and that car was a Chrysler. That was a 300 sedan, and it was the base model. And we're going to note that this vehicle, we're going to look at its 5-year numbers, and its 5-year total cost for fuel is $11,907. So we're going to take $11,907 and we're going to divide by 60. So it works out to $198.45. And we're going to put that into our budget, $198.45. We're not taking the bus. We do have to pay some repairs and maintenance for the car, and that we can find here under maintenance and repairs. Now you notice initially the costs are pretty low and they tend to get higher. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take the 5-year total, we're going to add those two together. So 497.6 and 774, so that's 57.50. We're going to divide by 60 months. So on the monthly average, it's 95.83 for maintenance there, 95.83. Next up comes the section about registration and licensing for the car. You're going to want to make sure that you take a look at the DMV and notice the fees for registration. There's an initial registration fee, and there's also renewal each year. We're going to cost this out over 5 years so that we obtain an average cost on a per month basis. Oh, and I did forget about the car insurance. So there's a video on how to get a car insurance quote. You can visit Geico or really any website for a auto insurer that you choose. And you'll want to put in some of your information again in order to obtain a quote. Again, you can put in fake information so that you don't give away your real personal information. And they'll try to sell you. They will try to sell you insurance for some time after you do it. So let's say the registration insurance, let's say that ended up being $8. I don't know offhand. That is sections A and B. Oh, we had to put our auto insurance. So I'm not sure what your auto insurance quote is going to look like, but once you, in terms of price, but once you obtain that price, you'll print it, and you'll want to make sure that you include it into the overview. And then you can print the overview. Now at this point, your budget should look, pretty good. You should have some space. I'm going to erase this amount for groceries. Keep in mind, right, if this were my actual budget, all I've got here is some money for savings set aside, and then A and B, and only got $659 left that I can do everything else with, right? Like buy food and groceries and get haircuts and go to the movies and pay for health insurance. I'm sure that's really high on your list of things you'd love to spend money on. Give charity, charitable donations. Get things like magazines and newspapers and so on. Also, some of the other stuff you're going to have to factor in as any student loans that you might have obtained. Those things carry costs with it. So for the purposes of your project, for part 2, you'll do this personal budget overview. You'll do some of your home expenses for rent, renter's insurance, electricity, many of these things like gas and water and sewer for renters you're not going to worry about. Your satellite television, I'm not sure what the pricing is going to be for you. I know for us it's about $115, and that's inclusive of the internet. Your furnishing and appliances numbers, again, you'll find those. You're not going to worry about any lawn. And this budget document is created so that you could actually use this later on, right? So you can keep going, when you do have these things to maintain. You'll want to complete sections A and B. You want to input your monthly income and your total monthly taxes into this federal taxes line. Hopefully that answers many of your questions. Should you have any others, feel free to email me at cohen@southbroward.net.